or whatever it is, like, please, no more of that video game. Put Fortnite away. Or if I hear one more thing about Dragon Ball, whatever it is,
That's
kind of
me.
make your parents crazy.
Me for real. Me for real.
Well, I
Me on God.
did that with think about it. Because they want to be all over the room. That was Star Trek for me. My mother, because I just ate, slept, and breathed it. So she hated it. In fact, you know what she used to call it? She used to call it Star Trash.
Damn. Oh, that's
It's
mean.
surprising she's still alive, isn't it?
Wow.
Because, those are fighting words. Like, right? If you have a passion about something, you don't make fun of it, right?
I don't have a passion about
But
anything.
she was my mom.
Really?
So I let her
Really?
Not one bit. Oh, but the best part is, 40 years later, we make this series, right? And she comes down and is working in the production offices, and suddenly she thinks it's cool now, right? And I had to remind her, hey, remember, Mom? Remember how you used to make fun of me all the time? Oh, the irony. For loving Star Trek? Let's see, what else?
Were you a fan of Dragon Ball before you started
You
voicing
know what?
it?
I was not. In fact, I'm going to tell you my Dragon Ball story, bro.
All right,
What's
cool.
your name?
Mateo?
Mateo. I like it.
Nice.
I was living in Houston, and I was voice acting for a company in Houston called ADV Films.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
And ADV did a lot of shows. Evangelion.
Oh, really?
A lot of shows. Some of my early shows, D and Angel, a lot of early stuff. But I was living here, and somebody invited me to a convention. I didn't even know they had anime conventions. Like when I was a little kid, I would go to Star Trek conventions, but I didn't know they had anime conventions. So I went to an anime convention, and I met some people there from Funimation. And they asked me my name, and they took my number down. And then like a couple of days, I came back to Houston, and I got a phone call from somebody from Funimation. They go, hey Vic, we met at such and such a convention this past weekend. I'm like, oh yeah, hey. Hey, how'd you like to come and be in Dragon Ball Z? And I was like,
I would have flipped my shit, bro.
sure. What's Dragon Ball Z? Like, I love voice acting, so I'm happy to do it, but I didn't even know what it was. And they asked me how like low and dark and evil a voice can you do?
Ooh.
And I was like, this was a phone conversation, right? You mean like on the phone? Like how scary could that be, right? And they're like, yeah, just do something. And so I did something on the phone, and they're like, yeah, that'll be fine. We want you to come up and play this character named Broly. And that was like movie 8. That was way back.
Yeah.
Way back.
That's the
And
part
so movie 8? Really? You can't hear me back there? Do I need to project?
Bro.
Theater. It's a theater training. So I went up and played Broly. And of course, he screams and yells all the time, right? I mean, that's Dragon Ball, right? Mm-hmm. And I mean, it trashed my voice so bad. I didn't think I was gonna make it. Like, we got halfway through the movie, and I was like, I can't do it anymore. And they're like, well, go home and rest up and come back next week, and we'll finish. So I went home, came back to Houston, went back a week later, finished up movie 8. And my final thought as I was finishing the movie was, well, at least he's dead.
Oh, no.
I mean, I made it, I made it through. I made it through the movie with my voice intact. At least he's gone. No.
No, he's not.
A year and a half later.
2 more.
Movie 10.
What?
Broly's back. I'm like, what do you mean he's back? They
just
beat the
died.
crap out of him. He can't be back. Oh, he's back. So I went and did movie 10, and then movie 11. And by then, if you guys know your Dragon Ball, he was just like a pile of jello. He was just like this
Bio
Broly.
Dude.
He didn't even talk. He
Just screamed.
Like, groaned and yelled, which of course I love so much. But at the end of movie 11, I looked at the director and I'm like, is he really dead now?
Kinda?
And you know what he said? Yeah.
Oh man.
He lied.
Little
No,
did he know.
he was gone. He was dead.
Dead.
But then like a year later, I got a phone call. I'm like, hello. And he goes, we have this video game. I didn't even think about video games because they last forever, right? And like nobody ever dies in a video game. It just next game. So then it was Broly, all the video games for years, all the different video games that Broly was in. If I had a nickel for every time I said Kakarot,
Bro.
I'd be a rich man today. But I don't, and I'm not. So, so then, Dragon Ball Super, Broly, they finally made a movie, a new one that brought him into canon. And I loved the new movie from a few years back.
Oh my god, it was so good.
I loved it.
So much fun.
They gave him some more, backstory.
A good backstory.
You felt like you understood why he was the way he was.
Why is he crying?
He wasn't just this screaming maniac, homicidal, crazy guy. So that's how I got into Dragon Ball. And there's somebody here. Is she here? I don't see her. There was somebody who came up to my table a few minutes ago, and she said she was a big Dragon Ball fan, and I said, Broly. And she said, and Berter.
Really?
There you are! Yes. And I'm like, nobody remembers that.
Berter.
Nobody knows
I
that.
love
It's the
Remember
fastest in the
Ghibli
universe.
The four guys, and Berger was the blue guy that ran really fast, right?
Fastest guy in the universe.
Yes.
So
Any
funny.
questions? I'm here to answer any questions. You want to talk about anything. If you want to talk
You're the
about
rar.
Star Trek, you'll be my best friend. Are we going to try it again?
You got it?
We can try it. I think.
That's actually
Are you
wrong.
guys going to turn me down again?
No,
Yeah,
we had to because it was blasting somebody.
Oh. Karaoke. Come on, let's do this. So if you have any questions at all, ask away. You want to talk about anime, video games, Star Trek.
Like right now,
It's
bro.
fine. You'll be my favorite person. We're talking about Star Trek. Yes, look, she knows what's up.
I'm more of a wars
Any
guy.
questions? Yes.
How did it feel to be brought in with other Star Trek alumni when you did Star Trek Renegades? To be brought in and hey, you're one of us.
Well, that Renegades was a lot of fun. Tim Russ and those guys, Adrian Wilkinson. In fact, I had her Star Trek Continuous as well. But Renegades was really cool. And of course, Walter Koenig, who played Chekhov. That was neat. I played if any of you guys, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Star Trek, some of you maybe. There's a race of creatures called the Cardassians.
The Kardashians?
Not the Kardashians.
Keep me up with the assassins.
That's a whole different race of aliens.
Oh man.
Weird creatures then.
Somebody here is like, I like the Kardashians. How dare you?
People can be
It's
wrong.
a joke, y'all. It's just a joke. But the Kardashians have these really cool prosthetics and really interesting looking race of beings. And
Hey, can you hold
played
this?
the Cardassian, and that was a lot of fun. I have a funny story about Renegades. I went upstairs looking for some water, and Walter Koenig, in case you don't know, you guys, Walter Koenig played Chekhov in the original Star Trek series. And he was in this, and he was sitting upstairs in the room by himself. And I was walking by, and I'm in full Cardassian, right? And I walk by, and I glance in there, and I go, hey, Walter. And he goes, so I walk into the room, and he goes,
Very good.
sit down. And I sat down, and he leans into me, and he goes, what do you think of the script? He said, do you like the script? I'm like, yeah, I think it's really great. Question, anybody? You know what? I love you for asking. Thank you. I actually just finished a new Naruto video game. I play several different characters in Naruto, about 6. Apparently they ran out of voice actors. Apparently there's so many characters in Naruto that actors tend to double up and triple up.
No, I had to
played
double up.
Obito and Naruto and Yomi and Flynn and C. And I just finished a Naruto video game. And very excited though, I should tell you this. Last year in Houston, anybody in Anime Matsuri? Anybody come to Matsuri last year? Yeah, bro. We announced a new dubbing studio. Matsuri AM Studios is starting a new dubbing studio in Houston. And I'm one of the core casting directors, actors, and we premiered something there last year that we had dubbed, and we're currently acquiring some licenses for some new series. And I'm very, very excited about that. Very excited about that. I directed a few things for Funimation, and I really enjoy directing. So I'm very excited about AM Studios. They're looking at a couple of licenses in particular that are really cool shows. Very cool. I'm also directing actually also directing a Christian animated series called Supernatural Sid. It hasn't been released yet, but I cast it and directed it. And this is prelay. I don't know if you guys know what that means. So this panel is going to be educational. Anime is dubbed because the animation's already done, right? It's done in Japan. All of the animation is done. So the voice actors that they bring in, whether it's English or Spanish or French, they have to match animation that's already been drawn, which is its own challenge. Any anime voice actor will tell you. It's a lot harder to give a performance that's believable and authentic when you have to match the movements of a character. They did it to me again. Oh, you don't like me? Okay, I won't use the mic anymore. So that's dubbing, when the animation's done already. But a lot of Western animation, Simpsons, Family Guy, Futurama, Rick and Morty, all of that kind of stuff. Thank you. It's called prelay. Prelay means you record the voices first. Now imagine how much more freedom and flexibility there is in being able to perform the line however you want as an actor. And then once the director gets the lines performed the way he likes them, he hands those recordings off to the animators and they animate to your performance. Much easier. Supernatural Sid is prelay. So I cast all the characters and they came to my studio and we recorded all of it and it's being animated right now. So that's something else that I'm working on. When COVID hit, and a lot of studios and businesses just stopped dead, I started doing audiobooks. I had never done audiobooks, and a lot of my friends, voice actor friends, told me that audiobooks were very hard work for not a lot of money. And so in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to do audiobooks. Well, when COVID hit and there wasn't much else going on, and I have a studio in my home, and I can make a cup of coffee and throw on a bathrobe and sit in front of a microphone and work, that seemed, maybe we'll try audiobooks now, right? So I did it, and I really enjoyed it. You get to play all the characters. It's kind of fun, you know? Coming up with different voices and characteristics and personalities for all the different characters. So I now currently have 5 audiobooks on Amazon and Audible. If you're an audiobook fan, remember these titles. In Plain Sight by Dan Willis. It's a very cool, futuristic, private detective thriller. The Crimson Spark by William Hastings, a wonderful fantasy novel. Paper Doll, which is a historical World War II true story about a family of guys that go to war. Star Trek fans, I did a book called These Are the Voyages. It is about the making of the original series. It's very in-depth, very comprehensive, and it's like pulling the curtain back and reading what they were going through to try to make these shows. It's fascinating. Interviews from people from the networks and actors that were on the show and producers and writers and everybody that was involved behind the scenes. I'm currently finishing a book called The Nova Quadrant, which is a sci-fi book. And then the guy that wrote The Crimson Spark that I mentioned a minute ago has written a follow-up book that I'll be doing as soon as I finish The Nova Quadrant. So I've come to really enjoy audiobooks. And I don't know if you know this or not, but I do a lot of music professionally as well. I write, I play the piano, I produce, sing, arrange. I have 6 CDs on iTunes. I have some over at my table if anyone's interested. Good music. I've sung the theme songs to a lot of anime series that you may know. But I decided when I was doing audiobooks that I would throw a little extra into the pot for the author. So when he hired me to do the audiobook, I didn't just record the audiobook. I actually wrote and produced music, like an opening piece of theme music for the audiobook as well. So I'm really, really enjoying audiobooks. They're just going to turn me
No,
off.
actually,
No, I just don't want to. I don't want to annoy vendors, but at the same time, that's yeah.
But yeah,
What?
you're good. Go ahead. Check it. That's it.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
But that's
I apologize to anybody out there that the mic was too loud. Sorry.
yeah, we're gonna leave it right there for you.
Okay. Who's got a question? Did you have one? I think you did, didn't you? How do you mean how would one start watching it? Oh, I'm not the right person to ask that question. Who's our Dragon Ball expert over here? Is there a Dragon Ball expert?
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
Tell her how do you get into Dragon Ball? What would be the best way to start?
Read the manga. Start with the manga. Go to a library.
You gotta start Dragon
Start
Ball.
with the manga?
Yeah, that's how I started.
You're saying that in front of a voice actor?
I mean, you got the movies. Obviously, you got the movies.
The movies
you
don't
know.
have the
Voice
manga.
acting, just read it.
Watch the movies though.
I mean, that's how I started, but
Watch movie 8, watch movie
Yeah.
10, 11.
I don't know. What do you think? What would your recommendation
Because
be?
you know what you need to watch anyway.
Way back.
Yeah.
So back to the beginning, before you were born.
Yeah.
I mean, don't skip GT.
Don't skip GT. GT.
Dude, Dan Dan Kokoro's the best opening in Dragon Ball.
See?
Super Saiyan
Wow,
4.
you got a lot of good input here. Shaggy, what's
I
up?
prefer to watch it in order.
That's true.
You can even search it up on the internet and they show you in order. Preferably Crunchyroll, they just released
Dragon Ball.
the English version on there. Crunchyroll, it's free. Don't do that.
Very good. You're going home with lots of information.
Yes.
Yes.
Dragon Ball 1.
Did you get the Star Trek role? Sorry.
She's gonna start on Sun Wukong.
Did you fear being a red shirt at any time?
No, I didn't. And you know why? Because I created the show. So I cast myself as Captain Kirk.
You're Captain. Captain doesn't die.
Yeah.
Nobody else.
I wear
Captain
a
doesn't
shirt.
die?
I'm safe.
That's right, I don't die.
Oh,
Do you know what? I gotta tell you guys something. Everybody, listen closely because I'm about to give you a piece of trivia that very few people know. You ready for this? Everybody makes jokes about red shirts in Star Trek, right? Oh, the red shirts always get killed. Red shirts die. Red shirts go on the planet. Don't wear a red shirt. Blah, blah, blah. Guess what? Somebody did a tally of all of the people that died in Star Trek, in the original Star Trek series. More people wore gold were killed than red.
In the first 2 seasons, the 3rd season they dumped all the red shirts because hubby and I did it.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? Everybody thinks red shirt, red shirt. The gold shirts aren't safe either, apparently.
Oh.
So, unless you're a captain.
Yeah, because
And then
like
you can send people on the way to. Grant, okay, first of all, rest in peace, right? Grant Imahara. Anybody watch Mythbusters? Grant was part of Mythbusters, and he was one of the kindest people I've ever known.
one of the most intelligent.
Oh my goodness, he's amazing, brilliant guy. Well, Grant and I did Dragon Con together years ago, and we became friends. And then about a year later, or 2 years later, I saw him at a party in LA. And I went up to him and I'm like, hey man, how are you? And we were talking. And he said, what are you up to right now? And I pulled out my phone and I showed him photos of the sets that we were building. The replica of the original Star Trek series sets. And he was like, oh my gosh, I love the original Star Trek. And as I'm standing there looking at him, suddenly a little light bulb goes off in my head. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't have a Sulu yet. I hadn't cast anyone to play Sulu. He would be perfect. And I asked him, he's like, yes, absolutely. And he was just wonderful. He was absolutely wonderful. It was such a privilege. For those of you that don't know, speaking of my cast from Star Trek Continues, I play Captain Kirk. He's kind of my childhood hero. Chuck Huber, next door, you make sure to go over and see Chuck in his stable. He plays Dr. McCoy. Anime fans probably know who Todd Havercorn is. Todd played Mr. Spock. Grandy Mahara from Mythbusters played Sulu. Here's a really great one. Anybody here a big enough fan of the original Star Trek series to tell me who was the actor who played Scotty? Jimmy Dewan was his name. James Dewan. Guess who plays Scotty in my series? His son, Chris Dewan, plays his father's role. It's awesome. Yeah, check it out, everybody. Yes, you do it, yes. Question? I know somebody's got some here. Yes.
How does it feel to be in the same con with Show Tucker?
You know, Chuck did such an amazing job.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Every time I see one of those t-shirts.
Have you seen
Have you guys seen the t-shirts
the fusion dance?
Where Alexander and they're doing
the fusion dance. Yeah. That's so fucked, bro.
I love it.
No.
Who's got a question? Anybody? Yes.
I always wondered, have you ever, like, what other voice actors you work with, have you ever tried doing any of their voices, what you think that character would sound like for you?
Oh, you mean like if I ever kind of done my rendition of another character?
How would he sound as Goku?
What? I can't do it! No, I don't have that. Greg! My best? I don't know. I want to hear your best. Come on. Let's hear it.
Oh, it's literally Beast Boy.
You know what? I'm always afraid to do that. Beast Boy had a twin brother. Because that's the guy, right?
That is Beast Boy.
That's Beast fucking Boy. Beast
I'll
F
tell you a funny
Boy.
story
Different
about-
character.
Can I tell you a funny story about this?
Oh.
Has anyone seen the Iron Man anime?
Oh shit,
There
I've been
was an
trying to see
Iron
that.
Man anime. Okay, you're gonna love this. You're gonna love this story. Huh?
The OG Iron Man, like when we were kids? Like
No,
that one?
no. This was after Robert Downey, after Avengers. So I was living in LA, and I auditioned to play Tony Stark. And at the last minute, they cast someone else who was on, what was it? He was on Lost or something. He was on a TV show. And the producers wanted somebody that was more recognizable. They figured he would bring more people, you know. So they cast him instead. It's kind of a bummed out, right? But, you know, you win some, you lose some. They cast me to play another character in the Iron Man anime. And I went in to record one day, and the guy who played Tony Stark had already come in to record his part. So I could hear his recorded lines in my headphones. And I was in the recording booth, and I could hear his voice, and my character was responding to him. And I heard him say a line, and then just for fun, I imitated him. And a woman from Disney, who was, I think Disney produced the series, the woman from Disney who was in the control room behind the big glass window, she was sitting down, so you couldn't see her, right? And I imitated his voice, and she went, "Was that you?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I thought I was getting in trouble, right?" I'm like, "I was just messing around." And she said, "Hold on a minute." And I'm like, "Crap, I'm gonna get fired." So she pushed the little button, right? The little intercom button. She can talk, and she goes, "Hold on a minute." And I'm like, "Oh," she's talking to the engineer. And she's like, I thought, "Oh my gosh, I'm gonna get fired." So they finish talking, and she pushes the button, and she says, "The guy that we cast to play Iron Man doesn't like to yell. He's a singer, and he doesn't want to hurt his voice doing the fighting, the Iron Man action fighting scenes. We're going to find one of those fighting scenes, and we want you to do his voice." So I became his stunt voice.
Stunt double?
Whenever Iron Man was fighting, it was me. But whenever he wasn't, it was the other guy.
So did you fight yourself?
No, I didn't fight myself. I fought some. No, it was some other
Your
monster
character
creature.
fight him?
No, my
Okay,
character
how would you
wasn't
do
important.
that?
It wasn't important enough to fight. Question?
There were
Yes, sir. Yes. You guys are saying. Yeah, man. I am not much of a gamer. Are you a big gamer? No. I'm really bad at games. I tried, and I'm so bad at games. So I'm not really good. Last video game I played was like
I'ma do it, bro.
Donkey Kong Jr.
Bro.
I loved it. In an arcade, y'all. Like, it didn't even have
I can appreciate the classics,
games
man.
yet. That's how long ago that was. What's your favorite?
I'm more of an FPS. I can't really say this.
First
Get ready for
person
the
shooters,
Dragon
I was
Ball
doing.
Z.
Cool.
The
Don't
breakers.
play this guy. He's an expert, I can tell. Chucks, you have a question?
Outside of Edward Elric,
Yes.
what would you say is like your most favorite role to play?
Besides it,
Yes.
Full Metal is my favorite thing I've done. Definitely. Full Metal Alchemist is my favorite. However, Oron High School host.
Oh my God.
I love me some Tamaki.
Bro.
Yes, Commoner.
I would actually
What's your
ask
question,
you
Gorgerson?
to do the Ginyu Force pose for Berta.
I don't even know it.
Oh no.
What is it?
I don't know.
Oh, I don't
You know
remember.
it?
Is it the one he's
Are you
like?
gonna show
That's
us,
not-
buddy?
No.
Exactly.
Ginyu is the one where he went under his blood.
Actually, no.
Yeah.
It's been a
I don't know it.
What is
Yes,
it, like the this one?
Do you have a question?
Oh, I think that was.
You're next. Get ready.
I think it was the this one, right?
No, Murders was.
You know what? I'm not
Yeah,
a
but
big
like, because he's
fan.
Yeah,
like
he's
the
in the
crazy-
back.
But you know what I am? I'm a live and let live kind of guy. You know what I mean by that? Like,
You wanna
just
look it up
because
real
I
quick?
don't like it doesn't mean it should be destroyed.
This pouch.
Or
They
just
don't
because
have
I
enough
don't
ability for
prefer it
putting things
doesn't
back.
mean that I should get
got
online
it.
and talk crap about it.
Okay.
And trash anybody who likes it. You know, where does that attitude come from? I don't understand people. You know, why can't you just let people like what they like? I think people have become so insecure. If I may get serious for 1 second, I think people have become so insecure that it's not enough that they have their own opinion. You have to have their opinion too. You know what I
Twitter
mean?
moment.
Like they need that
Twitter moment.
affirmation that you agree with them. Because it's just not enough that I feel this way. You have to feel this way too, or I hate you and you have to be destroyed. Where did that come from? You know, there wouldn't be anybody on the planet if everybody wanted to fight about any opinion they have. You know what I mean? Just let people enjoy what they enjoy. I don't understand where that comes from. Yes, did you have a question in the back, my lady?
I did. She raised her hand.
Oh, perfect. You have somebody raising their hand for you.
I was gonna ask what your favorite anime was. Not one you've done, but one that you personally.
Well, you know what? It would have to be one that I've done. It would have to be one that I've done because I would be closer and more, more emotionally invested. I've heard about a lot of really great animes. Wolf's Rain was an anime years ago that I heard was really, really good. Conroe Bebop.
Oh man,
I've
yeah.
seen some of Steve Bloom as a good friend, and I heard that it was great.
Here, hold this.
Full Metal. I love that guy right there. That guy. What is that? Oh, sweet. That's awesome. Yeah, Full Metal is my favorite. I love that show. I was so privileged to be a part of it because it was just a great show. I mean, it had nothing to do with me. I was just lucky enough to get to be a part of it. It was just a great story, great characters, great animation, great music. Just everything about it was wonderful. Yes,
Yeah,
sir?
and so on Destiny 2, Warlock's got blessed because they now have the fiery Roy Mustang snap.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So they stole his flame powers, huh?
Yeah, time for me to start playing Destiny.
Sweet. Question? Yes, sir.
What's the story about how you became Junpei in Persona 3?
Good old Junpei. I didn't know much about Persona, and several years ago, Atlas, I believe, is the name of the company. They were dubbing Persona into English, and I don't think I even auditioned. They just cast me to play Junpei, and I just loved him. He was so fun. Yeah. I even had a ball cap. I had a Junpei ball cap that I would wear when I recorded. I'm a nerd. I'm a big time nerd. Like, I had this Junpei ball cap, and anytime I would go in to record Persona, I would wear my Junpei ball cap. Question? Anyone? Yes.
If you had the opportunity to do a live-action adaptation of anime, like what they did with Cowboy Bebop, would that interest you? And what?
Oh, it would very much interest me.
And what character do you think you could pull off?
Well, that's the good question. See, did you hear the question, you guys? He said if you had the chance to play a live action character from an anime, like if an anime was adapted into live action, you could play the character, who would it be? Well, one of the beautiful things about voice acting is that you can play characters that you would never get cast as on screen. Like, I would never get cast as Edward Elric, right? I mean, he's
You never know.
14, and he's
Way shorter.
yeah. We won't say the S word.
Oh, and he doesn't have a. He also doesn't have an
Oh,
arm.
yeah.
He's anti-tall.
That role would cost him an arm and a
So,
leg.
I mean, I would never get cast. Broly. Not me. You know, not big enough, not jacked up enough.
Nah, just go to the gym.
I would never. You know, you play demons or bad guys or crazy people or any number of characters that the anime calls for that you would never get to play if they were going to adapt it into live action. If they were to do Full Metal, I think it would be fun to play like his dad, like Hohenheim.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's exactly what I was thinking.
I could do it on a Mustang.
Just make him Al.
So, yeah, that's one of the fun things about voice acting is that any
Mia.
character that you can voice may not be what you physically look like.
No snaps?
That's you get a lot more versatility in voice acting than you do on screen.
And I know Roy doesn't do gloves, but
Yeah, he.
Question? Yes, sir.
Would you like to do more Silent Hill stuff in the future? Did you enjoy that?
Yes, thank you for asking. A couple of years ago, I did a live-action Silent Hill. Any Silent Hill fans here? Well, Silent Hill, there was a character in that game called James Sunderland, and apparently the director of this, he wanted to shoot this live-action Silent Hill. Thought that I looked a little bit like James Sunderland, so we shot this live-action thing. It was so fun. I love it. In fact, I'm getting ready to do a couple of other live-action things this year. I'm very excited about it.
Are they related to Silent Hill or separate?
Pardon me?
Are they related to Silent Hill or
No,
separate?
not related to Silent Hill.
Okay.
Same director possibly, but different film. In fact, I also played a role in a movie that's about to be released. I can't remember where. It's called Exposure. And I played
That would be
this
so cool.
drug dealer guy. Yeah, you can see that, right? I look like a drug dealer, right?
well,
It's called acting. But they just announced it. I can't remember where it's going to be released. But fun stuff. It's fun to play characters that you're not, you know? Like, if it's you, then there's really not much acting involved, right? But it's fun to play character roles. Question? I know somebody's got more questions.
He said he'll do your Berta Ginyu Force pose.
All right, let's see it. Let's see that Ginyu Force pose. Come up here, let everybody see it.
That's the one?
There we go.
No, there it is.
Yes!
I knew it was something with the
Give it
arms.
up, give it up for him, guys. Awesome. Yes.
Would you be interested, since you were talking about doing music before, would you do somewhat similar like with the Persona soundtrack?
Ooh.
Because they have some vocal tracks in there. I know.
You know what's really interesting, I learned along the way, as I was voice acting, all the anime series always have theme songs, right? All of them. And a lot of them are Japanese. And then some of them are dubbed into English. And I never really didn't really know why. Like, what's the difference, right? Why don't they dub them all in English? If you're going to dub the show in English, why not dub the theme songs? Well, what I found out was that a lot of the companies that own these anime titles, they want to sell music. They want to sell CDs. They want to sell records. So they leave the original songs on there so that it'll generate more sales of the Japanese versions of the soundtracks and the music. But every once in a while, a Japanese anime company will let the English company do an English dub of the theme songs. Like I did 3 One Piece theme songs. I did a song from Oran. I did a song from Full Metal. I did Dragon Ball Kai, the Dragon Ball Kai theme
Dragon
song.
Soul.
How was that?
You and your Dragon
I
Soul.
love
Dragon
your
Soul.
luck now.
He did it. He did the thing.
And I did the Dragon Ball GT theme song. So I did a lot of anime themes, but they don't always get dubbed. Sometimes they stay in
No.
Japanese. and
No, he
that's
did the
fine.
Dun
So
on
they
the Kokoro
sell
one.
more
Grand Tour, that was
records
just like a
and
random group.
that made the songs. Question? Who's got a question? Yes, sir.
What?
You're next.
Alright.
Your Broly voice, can you say, I'll put you out of your misery?
Put you out of your misery. I'll put you out of your misery.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh. That's real material.
How can I repay you, brother mine? I love that song. So beautiful.
Tell him it's probably maximum, right? Do it.
Yes.
You don't want that question first.
Okay.
Favorite anime intro? Who was the person that brought the series Air to my table? Dude, I love that theme song. There's a series that I did. He's gonna whip out the DVD called Air, and man, that theme song, I love that theme song. I also love the Full Metal theme songs. What was the? I can't remember the name of it. Oh my goodness, it's been so long.
I can't remember.
Wait, is it Rewrite? I can't remember the name of it. But that was one of the first Full Metal openings.
It's one of the Full Metal ones, obviously.
And you know, when you actually play a character in a show, and you go in to record every week, you hear that song every week. You're like, oh, I love that song now. Because you hear it all the time. So it's your repetition. Yes.
Are you familiar with Dragon Ball Abridged?
I am familiar with Dragon Ball.
Alright.
That's Team 4-Star, right?
Yes, yeah.
Yes. They're hilarious.
It's embarrassing.
Wait a minute.
You've seen the movie, like the Broly movie, right?
The abridged
Have I
version?
seen
For the abridged.
The abridged Broly?
Yes.
No, I have not.
Oh, you haven't?
No, I don't think I should.
Okay. Okay, swing.
I don't think I should.
Okay, I'm gonna swing. Yeah.
He's actually pretty good.
I'm gonna swing with my eye closed here. Can you, in Broly's voice, can you say, my power is maximumer?
Maximum?
Yeah, yeah.
My power is maximum.
Maximumer. I love it. I love it.
Like, or he goes all ballistic. He's like, my power is
Your hair smells like lavender.
Your hair is like lavender, but it smells like strawberry.
anime called Vampire Night? Have you ever seen Vampire Night? Great show. The funny thing that I have to tell, whenever I talk about Vampire Night, I have to tell this story. Vampire Night was produced, it was dubbed and produced by Bang Zoom Entertainment in LA. And I had done several shows with Bang Zoom, and I went audition, and I wanted to play Zero so bad, right? And I auditioned, and then I went to a convention in Hawaii, Kauai. So I was over there, and I was literally carrying my phone because I was waiting for a call from Bang Zoom, one way or the other, right? One way or the other. My phone rings. Oh no, wait, it doesn't. I just got a voicemail notification. And I looked at the voicemail, and it was an 818 number, which is LA, and I was like, it didn't even ring! What the heck? So I listened to the voicemail, and it was Eric, the head of Bang Zoom. He called me, and the phone didn't even ring. And I'm listening to this voicemail, and this is what he said.
Hey Vic, it's Eric Sherman. I want to thank you for coming in and auditioning for Vampire Night. I just want to say I'm sorry, but we'll find something in the future to work on together. I started crying, y'all. I started tearing up. And there was somebody with me at the time, and I was listening to his voicemail, and I went like this. I didn't get anything. Vampire Night. And I'm still listening to his voicemail. I promise we're going to work on something together soon. And then he goes, in fact, we're going to work on something very soon because you're going to be playing Zero and Ichiru in Vampire Night. And I went, ah! And I hung the phone up and I went, I'm playing Zero! Who's Ichiru? I didn't even know who that was. Turns out it was his twin brother. And the same actor in Japan who played Zero also played his twin brother. That was fun. That was my favorite part of Vampire, was playing two characters that literally talk to each other and interact with each other. But their personalities are different. I mean, they sound the same, but the attitude's different. So, if one of them was pretty straight tone like this, was talking about how, Yuki is very important to me. And his brother is more sinister, but the same voice. Oh, so she's very important to you. See, the voice is the same, but the attitude is different. The personality is different. And that's the key to voice acting. The key to voice acting isn't changing your voice with every character. The key is playing the personality of the character, right? But I really enjoyed that show. In fact, the way that we would do it is we would record all of Zero's lines and then go back to the beginning, take a little 5-minute break, and kind of get a new mindset and do all of Ichiru's lines. And it was funny because I could hear the lines I just recorded as Zero, and I'm answering myself and responding to myself. Yes?
Is there like a scenario where you had like a Cell versus Broly moment at any point, just for fun?
No. But I tell you what, I love me some Linda Young. Frieza, she's amazing. She's awesome.
You actually wanted you to do the Broly voice what he did in Perfect Cell.
Like oh my gosh.
No. Yeah, we'll come over to the table after, maybe we'll do that.
Oh yes.
Any other questions? Oh, you have that down, don't you? You got that down.
Yeah, he's embarrassing.
Yes.
Go ahead.
You're next.
Go ahead and bring your ass
Everyone's
here.
been talking about Dragon Ball and all these other animes. How about Soul?
Hello.
Where's the Soul Eater love, y'all?
That's crazy. Soul Eater.
I
I love Soul Eater.
Soul Eater.
Wow, funny.
You know what?
They
Soul
butcher the
Eater's a
shit out of
perfect
that show
example.
though, with the sequel.
Another thing. Every actor wants to play the main character, right? I mean, if you're an actor, you want to play the lead. It kind of just, normally you want to play the lead. And I auditioned for all those different characters in Soul Eater. Death the Kid, Soul, all of them. And I didn't get cast in any of them. And I thought, oh well, you know, hey, like I said before, right? You try your best, you win some, you lose some. So the director called me in and he said, I want you to play this character named Ben Sighton. He's Maka's dad. And from the very moment that I saw him and he started, the moment he came on screen, I'm like, oh, this guy's awesome. And I learned a very valuable lesson. Sometimes the most fun characters aren't the main characters. They're those one-off characters, and you can have so much more fun with them. You know what I mean? Because you can really play a lot more. Because main characters often have to be kind of the anchor of the show, right? They kind of ground the show, and 50, 100 episodes of that voice, and, you know, they're the ground of the show. But then all these episodic characters come in, you can have so much fun with them. So I came to learn that the main character is not always the most fun to play. Yes, sir. I think this may be our last. We only have time maybe for one more. Yes.
Do you have any likings of the Resident Evil series, or have you ever thought about getting into the Resident Evil series?
You know what? I know about it. I mean, I think Laura Bailey was in that. I think she voiced something in that. I love Laura Bailey. She played Lust in Full Metal. She's amazing. She's an amazing voice. But I don't know much about it. I don't love it. I've heard it's awesome. Is that something I should look into?
It's an interesting series that definitely like.
You freaking.
You just gotta know.
Okay, I will take your suggestion.
It's kind of like your cousin Silent Hill in a way.
Is it really?
A little bit. It's more action oriented.
Okay.
A lot more gruesome.
We have about 5 minutes left. Does anyone have a question?
Ask something, man. No, I'm not gonna ask. You did everything.
Do I have any funny stories from my experiences? You know, I've been voice acting for 20+ years. Lots of funny stories. Lots of funny stories. Let me think. Let me think of a good one. Okay, you know what? I can't believe that this guy brought that DVD. You guys remember the show that I was just talking about? This one, Eric? Okay, so we were recording that show. I played this homeless guy. He's kind of a vagrant.
Wait, do you play Dokkan?
He hangs out by the seawall by the ocean. And he has a little puppet that he puts on little puppet shows for just to try to make a little money. You know, like street performer kind of thing. Love that character. Yuki too, is his name. So, this is really, okay, this is very sophomoric humor. I'm just gonna warn you, okay? So there was a scene, we were recording one day, and my character is standing at the top of the hill, and he makes friends with this little girl who doesn't have any friends. She's nice to him, nobody's nice to him, right? He's this smelly vagrant kind of guy, and nobody really, everybody kind of keeps their distance, but this young girl befriends him. And she's kind of weird at school. She doesn't have any friends at school. So they form this bond, right? Outcasts together. So there was a scene where she was at the bottom of this hill, and I was at the top of the hill. She was trying to climb up the hill, and I reached down to help her up the hill. And you make a sound like an effort sound. Like I'm trying to help somebody. Like this. Right? You make that sound, and they're recording it, right? I don't know what got into me. But I reached down and was getting ready to record the sound. What you do is you watch it one time, so you know what you're doing. What's it look like? How long should it be? Should it be open mouth or closed mouth? I mean, just watch it one time, so you know what you want to do. So we watched it, and we're getting ready to record it. And the moment that I went, and the director started laughing, and you know how that goes, right? Then we just couldn't stop. I mean, my character would sit down on a bench, and I'd go, and we just started making all these weird noises. And I couldn't even get a line of dialogue out. Like, I'm trying to do a line of dialogue, and this is, I don't know if you know this, but a lot of studios use what's called the beep method. And this is what it's like. You'll hear in your earphones, boop, boop, boop. And right where the fourth beep should be is where your line begins. To help you know where to start. Every time for the next hour, boop, boop, and I'd start to talk and then I'd just start laughing. We just couldn't, I mean, we ruined the whole night. We got nothing recorded. Now the funniest part about that is that the name of the show is Air. So I thought that was even funnier. We had a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun on Full Metal too. Thank you. We had a lot of fun on Full Metal too. There was a scene where Ed was, he'd gotten punched in the face, and his little face swelled up. And I thought, as I saw the character on screen, I thought, I'll bet you if your cheek is really swollen up, you probably wouldn't sound the same as you normally would. So I asked the director if I could go and get some, like, something from the vending machine to put in my mouth. So I ran to the vending machine and I was looking at Doritos and cookies and and there it was. Powdered sugar donuts. The little
strips.
package of 6. Perfect size.
They do.
Put right in your cheek, right? Perfect. So I ran back to the recording booth and I jumped in there like, okay, let's do this. And I stuck a donut in and we started recording and it worked really well. It sounded kind of puffy and, a little different. But what I didn't anticipate was how long his mouth was going to be puffy. How long I was going to have something in my mouth making that sound. And those donuts, you're not supposed to keep them in your mouth. You're supposed to eat them. Because if you keep them in your mouth, they start turning into goo. And I didn't want to eat it because I was using it as a prop, right? So it was so bad. I just kind of spit it out. But there were more scenes with him with the puffy mouth. So I had to put donut number 2 in. And went through the whole package of donuts. Suffice to say, it's been 20 years now. I've never had another powdered sugar donut in my life. You guys, I'm going to head back to my table. I'm so glad you guys are here. Come say hello. And thanks for being part of Comic Conroe. Love you guys. Thanks.
Well, now I gotta get up. I can't get up. I got all this on.
Damn.